My brother Sneered, an idiot only fit for factory work. At his promotion party, our parents handed him control of an $85 million resort in Hawaii and an Audi, saying, "We're proud of you," unlike someone who only brings shame. My name is Iris Nash, 34, and the last place anyone expected me to be was the back row of my brother's promotion party at the Hilton Miami Beach. He's 29, the new CEO, and right there on stage, he leans into the mic and says loud enough for the whole room to hear, "Some people are just dumb, only fit for factory work." 80 guests laugh. My parents step forward with the silver tray paperwork, handing him management of an $85 million Hawaii resort, plus the keys to a brand new Audi. Dad beams, "We're proud of you, son." Unlike certain others who only embarrass the family, I sit frozen in my cheap dress until a stranger in a charcoal suit slips into the seat beside me, presses a thick envelope into my hand, and whispers, "Time to show them who you really are." Drop a comment below with where you're watching from and what time it is there. Let's see how far this story spreads. Every morning at 5:30, I roll out of bed in my one-bedroom apartment and start the 45-minute drive in my beat-up Honda Civic to the factory in Haia. The engine coughs like it's been smoking for years, but it gets me there. I punch in at 6 sharp, pull on steel-toed boots, and spend the next 10 hours at my station, eyes glued to a conveyor belt that never stops. Hundreds of circuit boards slide past every shift. My job is to spot the flaws before they ship out. Miss one and an entire batch gets recalled. $45,000 a year keeps the lights on and the fridge stocked with leftovers. The break room smells of burnt coffee and microwave popcorn, and the fluorescent lights hum overhead like angry bees. I eat my sandwich at noon standing because the chairs are always taken, then back to the line. By 4, my back aches, my fingers cramp, and I'm ready to fight traffic home. Across town, my brother wakes up whenever he feels like it in his Baikal penthouse. He rolls into the boardroom around 9, coffee in hand, barking orders at interns who make more in a month than I do in 3. $300,000 a year, plus bonuses, stock options, and whatever perks come with being the golden child. His office has floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Biscayne Bay, a private gym on the top floor, and a concierge who parks his car. He sends selfies from rooftop meetings, captioning them closing deals. Mom and Dad flood the family group chat with screenshots of his latest magazine feature. Some fintech disruptor nonsense that sounds impressive if you don't know better. They tag him in every post, hearts and fire emojis everywhere. My name hasn't appeared in that chat for months. Last year during the night shift, the methane alarm screamed. A pipe had cracked near the loading dock. Gas, hissing out fast enough to turn the whole place into a bomb. Most guys froze. I didn't think I just slammed the emergency shutoff valve and held it down until the gauge dropped to 0. 47 co-workers walked out alive that night. The thank you letters piled up in my mailbox for weeks, handwritten notes from people I barely knew. Some included photos of their kids, others small gifts like homemade cookies or a $20 bill. I kept everyone in a shoebox under my bed. I never told anyone at home. What was the point? They'd call it just doing your job. Donna Nash, my aunt down in Tampa, found out anyway. She's a nurse, works double shifts at the ER, and still finds time to call every Sunday. "You did the right thing, Iris," she said last week, voice steady like always. "Don't let them make you feel small for it." I laughed it off, but her words stuck. She sent me a care package once, bandages, protein bars, and a note that said, "For the hero who won't admit it, I used the bars during overtime, never mentioned it to Mom or Dad. They don't ask about my day anymore." The group chat lights up with Quinn's face on a billboard. Quinn closing a deal. Quinn shaking hands with investors. My replies stay on read. They assume I'm fine, scraping by, too busy to notice how loud their silence has gotten. I scroll past the photos, thumbs hovering over the keyboard, then lock the screen. Some nights I reread the letters from the factory guys, tracing the ink with my finger. One guy wrote, "You gave me another Christmas with my daughter." Another said, "I owe you my life." Simple words, but they weigh more than any bonus Quinn brags about. The factory floor is loud machines, clanking supervisors, yelling radios, blasting reggaeton. I wear earplugs under my hard hat, but the vibration travels through my bones. I've memorized every warning label on the walls, every exit route, every first aid station. After the incident, management installed new sensors and gave me a plaque that says Safety Champion. It's bolted above my station now, gathering dust. No one from home has seen it. No one asked. A week ago, a thick ivory envelope arrived in the mail, formal invitation from Dad embossed with the family crest. Celebrating Quinn's promotion to CEO, it read, "Family presence required." I stared at it for an hour, knowing full well they only wanted me there as the punchline, the cautionary tale next to Quinn's spotlight. Still, I marked the date on my calendar. Donna said, "Go if you want, but don't let them walk over you." I nodded even though she couldn't see. At 7 that evening, my phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while I heated leftover rice. Quinn's name flashed. The message was short. "Don't come to the party. It's embarrassing." Friday evening at the Hilton Miami Beach, the ballroom buzzed with 80 guests in tailored suits and cocktail dresses. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over linen-covered tables and waiters circled with trays of champagne flutes. I slipped in through a side door still in my work slacks and blouse, ignoring the stares. Donna Nash, my aunt, who had driven up from Tampa, spotted me first and waved me over to her table near the wall. She wore a simple navy dress, no jewelry except her wedding ring, and gave me a quick hug before we sat. Quinn Nash strode onto the stage like he owned the room, microphone in hand, flashing that practiced smile. He launched into his speech about innovation and leadership, then paused for effect. "Success takes vision," he said, eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on me. "Not everyone has it. Some are just dumb, only fit for factory work." Laughter rippled through the guests, a few clapping in agreement. Heat rushed to my face, but I stayed seated, staring at the floor. Donna reached under the table and squeezed my knee, her grip firm. Dad Walt Nash joined him up front, arm around Quinn's shoulders. Mom Gail Nash followed with a velvet box and a thick folder. She opened the folder on the podium, revealing glossy photos of a sprawling oceanfront property with private villas and infinity pools. "To celebrate your new role as CEO," Dad announced, voice booming over the speakers, "we're transferring management of the $85 million Hawaii resort to you." Cheers erupted. Mom dangled the Audi keys from her finger, letting them catch the light. "And this beauty is yours to drive it all in style." Quinn took the keys, grinning wide, and held them up like a trophy. Mom leaned into the mic next. "We're so proud of you, son. Unlike certain others who only embarrass the family." More applause, louder this time. Whispers floated from nearby tables, eyes darting my way. A woman in pearls murmured to her husband, "That's the sister, right? The one who fixes machines." He chuckled. Donna's hand tightened on mine. I felt the weight of every gaze, the room shrinking around me. Dad pulled a single sheet from his jacket pocket, a pre-printed form with the family estate office letterhead at the top. It listed interim assets, including the resort now under Quinn's name. He motioned toward me. "Iris, come up here. Sign this waiver of inheritance rights. Make everything official for your brother." The room quieted, all attention shifting. Conversations died mid-sentence. I stood slowly, legs heavy, and walked the aisle between tables. Guests parted, some smirking, others avoiding eye contact. The carpet muffled my steps, but my heartbeat echoed loud. On stage, Dad thrust the paper forward. The waiver demanded relinquishing any claim to assets until final probate, effectively handing control to Quinn immediately. Quinn smirked beside him, arms crossed. Mom adjusted her necklace, looking anywhere but at me. The pen felt heavy in Dad's outstretched hand. I took it, the metal cold against my skin. The signature line stared back, blank and accusing. Guests leaned forward in their seats. A phone camera flashed from the front row. Donna half rose from her chair, but sat back down, lips pressed tight. I gripped the pen harder, knuckles white. My hand trembled as I lowered it to the page. The tip touched paper, and a bead of ink bled out, smearing across my thumb. The ink had just smeared across my thumb when the side door creaked open behind the stage. Ted Rice, a 72-year-old man in a charcoal suit and loosened tie, stepped into the ballroom carrying an old leather briefcase. Heads turned slowly at first, then faster as recognition flickered across a few faces. He moved with purpose, ignoring the murmurs, and stopped at the edge of the stage. Dad's face tightened into a mask of irritation. Mom's hand flew to her pearls, twisting them nervously. Quinn shifted his weight from one foot to the other, the Audi keys still dangling from his fingers like a trophy he suddenly wasn't sure he wanted to hold. Ted cleared his throat once, a sharp sound that cut through the low hum of conversation. "Excuse the interruption," he said, voice steady, but loud enough to silence the room without shouting. "I'm Ted Rice, former attorney for Eleanor Nash." He placed the briefcase on a nearby empty table and clicked it open with deliberate snaps. Guests leaned forward in their seats. Phones that had been raised to record the waiver moment now lowered, slightly uncertain. Donna's grip on my arm loosened as she stared, mouth slightly open. He pulled out a thick folder stamped with a notary seal dated exactly 10 years ago. "Mrs. Nash had this will notarized in my office the week before her final hospital stay," Ted explained, holding the document high enough for the front rows to see the embossed seal. "The original was delivered to the family after her passing as required." He paused, eyes locking on Dad, but it was destroyed shortly after the funeral burned in the backyard fireplace, according to 2 household staff who signed affidavit. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave. Dad's jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle twitch. Mom whispered something urgent to Quinn, who shook his head violently. Ted lifted a tablet from the briefcase and tapped the screen with practiced efficiency. A video began to play, projected onto the large backdrop behind the podium, where Quinn's promotion banner still hung. Grandma Ella Laner appeared seated in her favorite armchair by the window, frail but sharp-eyed, a quilt across her lap. "If you're watching this," she said, voice clear, "despite the age and illness, it means I'm gone and someone's trying to twist my wishes. Iris has saved lives. Real lives, not just numbers on a screen. She gets everything. No conditions. No delays." The clip ended abruptly. The room froze in stunned silence. Donna shot to her feet beside me. "Stop this," she shouted, pointing directly at Dad. "That's Mom's real will. You can't pretend it doesn't exist." Security near the main entrance hesitated, looking to Dad for direction, but he was too busy staring at Ted. Ted raised a hand to calm her, then turned back to the crowd with the folder open. He held up the document for all to see, pages of legal tech signatures in blue ink, dates stamped in red. This certified copy filed with the court the same day as the original transfers the entire $65 million estate to Iris Nash. He announced, voice ringing clear explicitly, because she saved 47 lives in that factory incident last year. No interim management, no waivers, final and binding. Quinn lunged forward a step. This is fake, he yelled, face red. Dad grabbed his arm, pulling him back with a sharp tug. Mom's face drained of color. She clutched the podium edge to steady herself. Guests exchanged wide-eyed glances, some pulling out phones again to record the chaos. A few investors near the front stood up, murmuring about due diligence. Ted continued reading clauses aloud, asset lists, including the Hawaii Resort Trust Fund's offshore accounts. The coercion penalty if anyone forced a signature under duress. Each word landed like a hammer on glass. I stood there on stage, pen still hovering over the waiver, water sloshing in the glass from my trembling hand. The waiver on the podium looked ridiculous now, a prop in a play that had just changed scripts entirely. Ted locked eyes with me across the lights. Elainer knew what you did, Iris. She saw the OSHA reports, the letters from those workers. This is yours. Always was. Ted didn't wait for silence to settle. He snapped the briefcase open and pulled out a 3-inch thick stack of documents bound with red cord, dropping it with a heavy thud that cut through the stunned murmurs. Let's talk evidence, he said, voice calm, but carrying to the back of the room. The top page was the official OSHA incident report. 8 pages of diagrams, witness statements, and Iris's name circled in red marker. This confirms the methane leak Iris stopped by, manually closing the valve under pressure. Ted explained, holding it up so the front rows could see the official seal. He flipped to the next section. 47 handwritten thank you letters from the workers she saved, 8 signatures, even photos of their families, and some he fanned them across the surface in plastic sleeves, all notarized copies for the court. He slid over bank records, next crisp printouts with highlighted lines, $2 million, funneled anonymously into factory safety upgrades, new ventilation systems, advanced sensors, mandatory training programs for 3 ships, gifts. The transfers originated from a donor-advised fund linked to Iris through tax filings she never claimed credit for on any public platform. Finally, he lifted a framed plaque from the case. National Workplace Safety Award presented to Iris Nash last April in Washington, D.C. for exemplary courage in crisis by the U.S. Department of Labor. The gold lettering gleamed under the chandeliers. Ted turned to a slimmer folder labeled Quinn Nash in bold black marker. He laid out 3 glossy printouts of LinkedIn posts. Quinn in black tie at charity galas, posing with oversized checks made out to children's hospitals and disaster relief. He was the paid keynote speaker at each event. Ted said, voice flat, $50,000 total wired directly to his personal account within 48 hours. Attached invoices showed the charities received 0 after administrative fees and travel reimbursements. One email chain revealed Quinn negotiating higher rates while promising the money would change lives in his pitch deck. Another showed him rejecting a follow-up audit request. Donna rose again, pulling a folded paper from her purse with steady hands. 2 years ago, Iris borrowed $5,000 from me. She announced, unfolding the IOU handwritten on plain notebook paper dated with Iris's signature at the bottom and a column of $50 repayments checked off weekly in blue ink. Cash. No bank transfer for 20 industrial fire extinguishers the factory budget wouldn't cover after a cost-cutting meeting. She held it high. She paid every cent from her paycheck, never missed one, even when overtime was canceled. Dad's face went purple, veins bulging at his temples. Mom clutched her throat, pearls digging into her skin. Quinn's fists clenched at his sides, knuckles white. Guests shifted in their seats, some filming openly now, others whispering about board meetings, audits, and potential lawsuits. A venture capitalist in the front row stood and asked loudly, does the board know about these discrepancies? His partner nodded, already typing on a tablet. Security edged closer, but stopped when Ted raised a hand. He stacked the documents back into neat piles, each labeled and tabbed. Every piece here is filed with the probate court, he continued. The coercion clause activates immediately upon attempted signature under duress, which we just witnessed. He gestured toward the waiver, still on the podium, ink smear and all. Quinn exploded forward, voice cracking. She's just a factory worker. She doesn't deserve it. The doors burst open again. Glenn Pike, the company's chief financial officer, rushed in, face ashen, tablet clutched to his chest. He beelined for the stage, nearly tripping over a chair leg that stuck out from the front row. Emergency board vote just passed. He panted, swiping the screen with a trembling finger. Coercion clause triggered $18 million contingency fund transfers to Iris Nash, effective immediately. The projector flashed the wire confirmation account numbers in bold timestamps and green digital signatures from 3 independent trustees. Dad lunged for the tablet with both hands. You can't do this. Glenn yanked it back out of reach. Assets frozen across all subsidiaries. He continued, voice rising over the growing chaos. Independent forensic audit starts at dawn. No access until cleared. Quinn's promotion banner flickered off the backdrop, replaced by a red account suspended banner from the bank portal in real time. Hawaii Resort Management contract revoked. Audi title repossessed repo trucks outside the valet area right now. Quinn screamed incoherently, charging at Glenn like a bull. Security tackled him mid-stride. 2 guards pinning his arms behind his back while a third radioed for backup. Fraudulent expense claims totaling over $200,000. Glenn read from the tablet, scrolling fast. Board voted unanimous termination for cause: no severance, no non-compete payout. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing into her hands so hard her shoulders shook. Dad stood frozen, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, eyes darting between the screen and his son on the floor. Donna wrapped her arms around me tight, pulling me close enough that I could smell her lavender perfume. I let the pen drop from my fingers, watching it roll across the podium and leave one final ink splatter on the waiver. "I don't need this family anymore," I said, voice steady for the first time all night. "We're done." 3 months later, I stood before the new safety training center in Orlando. The sign read Nash Safety Foundation in bold steel letters above wide glass doors that slid open automatically. Inside, instructors certified 1,500 factory workers that week alone. Hands-on drills with fire extinguishers, hazard simulations using virtual reality headsets, emergency protocols practiced in mock assembly lines. My team ran the program, funded entirely by the contingency payout. No press conferences, no ribbon cutings, just results. Factories from Miami to Tampa sent crews in rotating shifts. Accident rates dropped 28% in the first quarter, according to state reports. I bought a 2-bedroom condo in Coral Gables Quiet Street lined with Royal Poinciana trees, mango tree in the courtyard, ocean view from the second-floor balcony. Mornings started with black coffee on the patio while reading industry journals. Evenings with long walks along the bay where sailboats drifted under pink skies. The factory job stayed behind. I consulted remotely for safety upgrades nationwide, traveling only when needed. Quinn stocked shelves at a warehouse in Durrell, $15 an hour. No benefits, early shifts starting at 5. He scanned barcodes with a handheld device, loaded trucks with pallets of electronics, avoided eye contact with former colleagues who whispered about the gala scandal whenever he passed. Walton Gale rented a 1-bedroom apartment in Kendall, beige walls, cracked tile in the kitchen, community pool that smelled of chlorine. They sold the Bicol penthouse to cover mounting legal fees. The Hawaii resort went to creditors after the bank seized control. No more boardrooms. No more galas. No more private jets. Donna drove up every Sunday from Tampa in her old Honda Accord. We cooked pasta with fresh basil from my balcony planter, watched old movies on a 65-inch screen, talked about everything except the past. No calls from the others. No texts. No accidental run-ins at grocery stores. Silence became the new normal, and I welcomed it. I leaned on the balcony rail at sunset, waves crashing below against the sea wall. Money can't buy conscience.